twisted new season of The Traitors is finally here.
What did I get myself into?
The prize, $250,000.
I'm gonna lie and cheat and do whatever I have to do to win.
If you're gonna come for me, I'll finish you.
Shame on you!
I'm out for blood.
It is like a firing squad. Boom, 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 boom.
Let the games begin. Emmy Award winner, The Traitors. New episodes streaming Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Only on Peacock.
But one of these just shoot was what I exclaimed at some point during the first or second half yesterday. I don't remember. Might have been the second half, actually, when they actually did have quite a lot of shots. No shots on target at all in the first half. And a few more in the second.
It was early in the second half that you shouted that at the top of your lungs, and that sort of set the tone for the day. I mean, we went to Wembley together, which was very nice. It was nice to hang out. We've never been to an FA Cup final together, so that was something. A massive thanks to friend of the show Simon Stevens for sorting that out for us. It was lovely to hang out with Simon. Not so lovely to watch United in action. What did you make of the whole thing?
Well, it was in one sense it was shocking because this is at this point the biggest match of United's season, the only chance of silverware that was left, and from United, from the manager downwards, it was a total non-event. And it's not that United's performance was abysmal. We've certainly had worse performances under Moyes, under Van Gaal, under Mourinho, Fergie too, but hey, he's allowed to pass. But it was the fact that there was just no teeth to it. So, 65+% possession and hardly any good chances. I mean, depending on whose XG you believe, it's between 1.2 and 1.7, depending on how they calculate it. It's not a lot. Chelsea's was lower than that and boosted by a penalty. It was a very, very drab FA Cup and a very meek performance from United. Worse from Chelsea, by the way. But they managed to get the goal, and United didn't.
Yeah, I mean, Courtois is I think the man of the match was officially given to Rudiger, which was a reasonable shout. He did play very well, but I think there's a very solid argument that Courtois was man of the match in terms of the save he pulled off from Matic. And then there was another one that...
From Phil Jones, yeah. From
the angle that we were watching it looked fairly close to him. It didn't look like an amazing save or anything. And Pogba missed that header. There was the offside. Have you seen that offside goal? But I haven't seen. I couldn't bring myself to watch any of the highlights. Have you seen?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't.
It looked when everyone was celebrating. I was kind of my instinct was to look at the linesman because it didn't look right. The build up. So, and I've not heard a load of people complaining about how it wasn't offside. So I'm going to imagine it was. I mean. It started as a sort of fairly drab but fairly even affair. I think Hazard had a shot which forced a decent save out of De Gea. But then he was through one-on-one with De Gea and up steps Tweedledee, I guess.
You're finally on the same page.
Damn it, I'm sad about it.
I mean, I said at the time, sat next to you, turned to my right and said he didn't need to make the tackle. He definitely didn't need to make the tackle. I mean, I suppose we would have complained had Hazard somehow contrived to slam that one into the top corner, but he was going wider and he was going to have to beat De Gea at his near post, and in those sort of close range situations, De Gea is miles above anyone on the planet. So great with his feet. So I've still backed De Gea from that angle, the player running away from goal to have pulled off a save there. So it seemed unnecessary, and of course it set the tone for the rest of the game because Chelsea coming into the game, their best chance of winning was to ensure United had the ball. United are much better without the ball than with the ball. Very reactive side now after 2 years under Mourinho. And Conte out Mourinho's Mourinho. I thought he got it dead right Chelsea's manager, and that one, despite what Mourinho said after the game when he was complaining about Chelsea's tactics, that they played with 9 men behind the ball. See, I think in private he's gonna admire what Conte did there, because Mourinho's done it dozens of times before and made his name from playing that kind of system and formation.
Talking of system and formation, what was really evident was how much better United looked immediately as Lukaku came on, which is not any kind of knock against Rashford, though Rashford was appalling in that game. Like, he played very badly. It was very difficult for him to... it would have been very difficult to get a good performance out of him with that system under those circumstances, because the team was set up for Mourinho ball, for a big man up top. And we saw immediate... I mean, the out ball from De Gea was not on. The long out ball from De Gea was on at no point. And there was so little width. Who Scored has got it as a 4-3-1-2 with Lingard behind Sanchez and Rashford both central. So kind of narrow was the system. I mean, obviously that wasn't what it was designed for, but that's based on average positional data, isn't it? So that is what it was in effect.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's a pity we don't get all our usual sources of data, because it's amazingly in depth for the Premier League now, and the FA Cup is treated as a very, very, very minor competition indeed. I can get Chinese second division data down to the individual player heat map and individual XG chain. But not for the FA Cup. So a bit limited on this one. But yeah, it was a very narrow formation. I mean, you said, I guess you made the obvious comparison between Rashford and Lukaku. I mean, what was obvious to me that Rashford wasn't necessarily playing down the middle all the time. Sanchez was definitely in that position at times, and Rashford trying to run the channels. And what Lukaku gave United is a central focal point. He, by the way, barely touched the ball, Lukaku, right? Yeah. He had something like 5 touches. So it's, it didn't, and it wasn't obvious to me that he was necessarily fit, but at least they had a man up there that's going to take the attention of a couple of those 3 Chelsea central defenders.
The kind of nuances of the game, like you said, United had a lot of shots in that game. They were generally low quality shots from low percentage chance shots from distance, and quite a lot of actual low quality shots.
Lots of low quality shots, yeah. Yeah.
Martial came on late and looked bright, but ultimately didn't quite have it in him. Didn't quite have that moment of magic in him. But you're watching that thinking, you're telling me we wouldn't have been better off with someone who could do this with the ball on the pitch from the start, utterly... Knowing
how Chelsea were about to play. I mean, it was obvious 5 minutes in, right? So, anyway.
Yeah, and this game ending in the sort of limp fashion... I mean, not limp as in they didn't make an effort, because they were definitely trying, but limp as in execution. It really does steer the overall feeling about the season. I mean, you said last week this is going to make a huge difference to how we feel about the season, and in a way that's particularly the case this season, because there have been these swings from being good to really good occasionally to absolutely appalling. So what team turns up in the crucial moment, at the moment, at crunch time? What's Mourinho got out of his players? Does Mourinho have the kind of relationship with his players that they will run through walls for him and not die whatever, that they're confident and in form going into the biggest game of the season? Clearly not.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mourinho tried to preface what was about to happen in his pre-cup final comments when he said that this isn't going to dominate. This isn't going to be how we're judged this season based on this. And he's trying to say, look, it's just one game. It can go either way, and that shouldn't be the judgment. But it has to be the judgment, because Mourinho's style of play is only about winning.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win, it doesn't count, because it's so drab and so awful. And, there are plenty of people who are more supportive of Mourinho than me. I'd find it hard-pressed to find too many of them that are going to claim that it's good football, It hasn't been good football for a very long time. So if you're not going to play good, entertaining football, and it's supposed to be entertainment, after all, people pay an awful lot of money for this entertainment, well, except us. But that's a different story. But people, generally pay an awful lot of money for this entertainment. And if they're not getting that, at least they want to go home happy because they've won. So, of course, whatever marks we give later, this is United doing the figure skating and falling on their asses. Right as the denouement of the music was coming into play. So, of course, it's going to affect the final score. It absolutely has to. This is a trophyless season, and they finished 19 points behind the winners.
Yeah, and haven't looked like threatening the winners for the league since October. And were really limp in the Champions League when they went out, and were pathetic in the League Cup when they went out, by the way, just for an additional little wrinkle. We'll forget about Bristol, but it happened. So this is, we'll have an in-depth chat about what the season means. That the game, to go back to the game itself, most of all, I just left a bit sad about what is to come. That was the thing that was kind of a heavy-hearted feeling, really. It wasn't necessarily that it had been, such a terrible, terrible performance, because it was a limp performance. It was a poor performance rather than an abysmal one,
Sure, yeah. And I totally agree with that. We've had way worse performances this season, and plenty of them since Fergie retired.
Yeah,
but it's the biggest match of the season. You're not expecting that, and I certainly wasn't expecting United to feel so meek by the end of it.
Yeah, and the thing that you're kind of... Last season, when we won the Europa League, even reflecting back on the last league game of last season, there was so much hope. I just remember Pogba walking off the pitch, kind of waving to everyone and giving it the kind of, we're going to Stockholm, we're going to win this. This is going to be the start of something. And it felt like it. And it felt like, it's going to be another summer of significant investment in areas where it's needed. And it had been a kind of much more promising season. There'd been all those chances created, and a lot of draws that could be turned into wins, and reason for genuine optimism. But I don't see any reason for genuine optimism about significant improvement next season. In fact, what I think is any improvements there are will be largely temporary and will be based on Mourinho shipping out or sidelining undeveloped players who could become something really special for functional developed players. I mean, we probably have just seen Martial's last game in United, and I'm in genuine denial about that. I refuse to accept that this is really happening. It's just not right.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a more general comment than just the FA Cup final, but for sure, how many players under Mourinho have really significantly improved? Not a lot, and some have gone backwards, quite a few. Probably more have gone backwards than gone forwards. Do we really expect him to suddenly improve a whole host of younger players at the club? I don't think so. He may play some. There's lots of nice stats going around on Twitter showing how many more minutes that academy players get at United than Manchester City, for example. Not quite the point,
Not quite the 100 points.
Yeah. So an improvement to United after 2 years of Mourinho being manager is going to be better players. Yeah. With presumably the mentality that Mourinho expects. Although, looking at how many of the players he's bought actually played in that cup final, got to wonder. And it will be incremental. There's not going to be a revolution. United will not make up 20 points next season from this point, you'd have thought.
It's just Pogba, Matic and Sanchez, right? That's amazing. I didn't even think of that. That is amazing. One of the things that the whole kind of does Mourinho improve players? I mean, at United, the answer to that has just been a fairly straightforward no, because he's got some okay performances out of our worst players. That's well done. Well, is that your job? Is it as an elite level football manager? I don't think it is. But the one thing that's really notable is that all the performance improvements he has got have been really temporary. So Matic, for example, I mean, he was an established player when he arrived, but he's had peaks of like really good form this season. But Mourinho's just played him every single week, whatever has been going on, as a result of which he's put in a load of really shambolic performances because he's been exhausted. And the Lingard, who had like a peak of really excellent form in the midpoint of this season, really gone off the boil again, I think. Martial finally played into form only for Alexis Sanchez to arrive and take his position on the left wing. And we'll come back to that because for me, that's the lowest point of the season, was realising that was the plan for Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah. Everyone's. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if United do go out and buy a right-sided attacker this summer, won't it? Given that they just bought a right-sided attacker in January and then absolutely insisted on destroying a couple of younger players in the process. But yeah, look, this is turning into a Mourinho rant, and I don't think that's a surprise really, because we and another 30,000 Reds at Wembley yesterday, millions around the world, watched a hugely disappointing United performance in the cup final. We've lost cup finals and we've won them over the years. I think that's the worst United performance in a cup final since 1995. And I remember being furious then. And I'm feeling and it still hasn't gone away. So, maybe in 2038 I'll be ranting about this on episode 2000 and something. Someone do the maths quickly on that one.
Remember the 2018 FA Cup was an absolute shambles. But no, I mean, the problem with this is if it was the performance in isolation, but we are now talking about 2 years. What has he done in those 2 years? He's won 2 trophies and a Charity Shield and got us into the Champions League both season, although once relied on putting all his eggs in one 90-minute basket. And this season comfortably finished second, which is something. It is an achievement. But to tie this back into the FA Cup final, one of the reasons why this is a Mourinho rant is because it's hard to separate the performance in the FA Cup final from Mourinho. And the specific beefs and gripes about Mourinho. No attacking pattern of play. Within 2 minutes of that game, it looked for all the world like the only way United were going to win this is with a worldie. Like, it is going to take a really good goal for United to score, which it shouldn't, because you should be able to score an ordinary goal from time to time, but there's no one in the side, like no one that you can cross the ball to and head it in. But more importantly than that, there's not going to be a pattern of play with like some nice attacking interplay and movement, which then leads to a simple shot.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can, I don't want to leave the players out of this because there are a lot of poor individual performances there, some better than others, and it's right to point to some of those good chances United had, because in a game of that nature, the details really do matter. If Pogba had put what was United's best chance, on shot XG away, then United have won all, and everything's to play for. And to be honest, that was it on really big chances. But if that had happened and a couple of other half chances, or one of them had gone in, then of course there's a really different story to this game, of course. And that's Mourinho all over. But there just wasn't enough in the whole pattern of the game, the whole package that United offered, to say, yeah, we deserve more than that. I mean, Mourinho said the opposite. He blamed United's lack of physical presence, so no Lukaku, no Fellaini, and said Chelsea put 9 men behind the ball, and that was easy because United didn't have a physical presence. I mean, watching Barcelona all these years, win La Liga by 20 points, and I've always thought it's the big man up front that does it, So, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Mourinho would say, of course, well, I stopped them. But anyway, it's...
He did as well.
Yeah.
With 100 points once.
Yeah.
Beating into second place one of the greatest teams that we've seen in the last 50 years.
Yeah, he's had some incredibly stellar achievements in his managerial career. will he somehow contrive to pull off a stellar achievement next season? We'll come on to that a bit later in the show. Anything else you want to say about the FA Cup final? I can't think of another interesting thing to say about it. It was a nice day out.
Yeah, it was a nice day out. Trying to think of anything else.
Saw 2 fights.
Couple of fights, yeah,
Small
good,
fights.
good.
That was not good. Didn't like that. One of them was.
It was United fans fighting United fans as well.
Yeah, but then there was one where United fans a United fan was fighting a Chelsea fan, while thousands and thousands of people just walked past shaking their head disapprovingly, much to the distress of 1970s fans, no doubt.
No one punched a horse, which was rather disappointing.
No, well, I'm on balance glad that we didn't see a horse get punched. I wouldn't have liked that. We were in ostensibly a neutral end, but it wasn't a neutral end. It was just a mixed end with no colours, because there was about 7 Chelsea fans and 100 United fans within the ratio was ridiculous. Once the full-time whistle went, there was like 4 people jumping up and dancing, and just everyone else flooding to the door looking miserable.
On the off chance that we have a couple of Chelsea fans listening, if you, larger gentleman, sat in front of me with a weird wavy octopus arms thing,
every time we missed a chance, he would do
right in and tell us. Didn't understand that one, but it's something.
It was good. It went whoo and did wobbly arms every time we missed a chance. He got to do the wobbly arms gesture a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, 18 times to be precise. Although a good half of those were speculative shots from outside the box.
Yes. At one point he started singing José Mourinho, which was funny. It was funny. Our best ever manager. I mean, their best ever manager. Our 40th best ever manager? Have we had 40 managers now? We haven't.
No, I don't think so.
Probably on trophies.
Not a lot to say. It was hugely disappointing. It puts a cap on what shouldn't have been a disappointing season. It's progression, at least in terms of league position, which is more than we can say for, Liverpool, who have managed to finish 1 point worse off.
Well, I mean...
the greatest team ever to have graced the game.
Isn't there one small detail about their season you're missing there?
I don't know.
Okay, right, okay, fair enough.
Come on, Ronaldo. Come on, Ronnie.
We're living in profound denial. Ed turned to me.
I'm leaving the planet if Liverpool win the Champions League.
Ed turned to me after the game saying, that poll, which was, what would you rather? We won the FA Cup and they won the Champions League, or neither won anything. It's like, right, I'm definitely taking the neither option now. Yes, we all know what's happening. We can all feel it in our bones. The collective of all our bones can feel what's about to happen.
Maybe it's all like we're paying a karmic price for years and years of Fergie dominance, and all the shit is going to happen in one season. City are going to win the league by 20 points and the League Cup, and we're going to be beaten by a bunch of plastics in the FA Cup. And Liverpool, I can't even say it.
Yeah. I'm not sure that would even put pay to the amount of suffering we caused at other people's expense. 2012 was direct karma for 1999, I think.
You know what this, and I think I've probably said this before, but this period post-Fergie, and especially after games like this, makes me regret that I wasn't more of a during those dominant years.
This is Darren Richmond, a friend of the show, Darren Richmond, once tweeted this and got thousands and thousands of retweets from it, because it is, and also, by the way, Ed, he can regret that, you can't.
What are you saying? I was plenty.
Yeah, I read United rant.
Very, very passive aggressive, that one there, Paul.
I read United rant during the mid 2000s. You were plenty. Actually, to be fair, it was normally just anti-United screed, wasn't it?
Oh dear. Just don't believe him, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you remember when we were like, it was all right that we won the league this season, but it wasn't that good? Do you remember that? Do you remember being like...
We only won it by 10 points. A bit disappointed, to be honest.
Exactly.
B+.
Yeah, feeling kind of meh about winning the league. Imagine, it's amazing how quickly things change. This game kind of made me think of the Louis van Gaal FA Cup final, which wasn't a particularly good performance, but had a few moments of real quality in it, and was up against a much worse team, and that was the key, because I think Chelsea did on an individual basis, they defended really, really well in that game. I mean, you could say it's kind of a high risk strategy to defend that deep for that long, but they executed it really flawlessly.
Well, you'd say it's a high risk strategy playing Smalling and Jones to the back, to be honest.
Eric Bailly is in our team and was fit.
I mean, who'd have thunk it? When Fergie retired, would you say, in 5 years' time, United will start a cup final with Young, Smalling, Jones and Valencia at the back?
I mean, if Smalling and Jones was the plan, so that was the plan all along.
Smalling was the next Duncan Edwards. Don't forget it.
Phil Jones was the next Duncan Edwards.
Not Phil Jones.
Yeah,
what did I say? Smalling was never the next Duncan Edwards.
No. They were going to be Rio and Nemanja Mark II, but they are not, in fact, that. Should we half-heartedly hand out some ill-deserved awards to Manchester United players for their performances this season, Ed?
Yeah, all right.
Well,
let's do that, and in doing so, we can sort of summarise our season. Although I feel like we may have done that already.
Yeah. So the goalkeeper of the season award goes to Pereira. No, obviously that's not even a conversation. Defender of the year. Nobody deserves an award. No, nobody. But I'm giving it to Ashley Young.
I mean, he's been the most consistent.
Yeah, and
I think that's actually fair. Valencia's not had as good a season this season.
No.
Smalling patchy, Jones patchy and injured.
Yeah.
Lindelof has definitely progressed as the season has gone on.
But the first half of the season, he was a total train wreck when he played.
Total mess, but he's got better. And in fact, he's coming into the cup final playing pretty well.
Yeah.
I guess it's Jones's performance in the semi that swung it for him.
Yeah, he was excellent in that game.
Eric Bailly, excellent when fit, not very often fit, and then he's mysteriously fallen out with the manager.
Yeah. And obviously Luke Shaw doesn't even count. So I think
at this stage, I mean, Luke Shaw, we're better sending him off to the glue factory, aren't we?
By default, the award goes to Ashley Young. Well done, Youngie. It's well deserved in that no one else deserved it at all. Who's been United's best midfielder this season? I suppose it's been Nemanja Matic.
I guess. I mean, it'd be hard to give it to Pogba, wouldn't it, for his sort of second half of the season performances? Not too many big ones in there.
Since
Herrera has come good recently, but was dreadful or missing for the first half of the season. Jesse Lingard had a really purple patch in the autumn, didn't he? Does he count as a midfielder or is he a forward?
I'm sort of thinking of him as a forward, attacking midfield. Everyone from Juan Mata to Romelu Lukaku is in their role in the side I'm thinking of as a forward, really. That's why I didn't say strikers, because we've only got one striker.
I think there's a couple of young uns on the bench that might argue with that one. No, in that case, it's probably Matic. And to be honest, he's had a very flat middle of the season, and he's had, he's bookended it with good performances. My criticism of Matic is that he looks very nice on the ball. He's not nearly as effective off it as some would have you believe. And I think the data shows that, like, hugely clearly. Not all on him, of course. Some of it's structural, but I don't think he's anywhere near as good a defender as we could do with in there.
I mean, watching Chelsea yesterday, I've said, you can keep your Kevin De Bruyne, you can keep your David Silva and your Mo Salah. The player that makes my eyes turn to jealous heart emojis is N'Golo Kante, because the amount that N'Golo Kante is the player that United need at the moment, it's just untrue.
Yeah. I mean, United should have dominated midfield. Yes, I guess we did. Sorry, going back to the cup final here, but the Bakayoko, absolute trash. He's crap. I mean, we talked about it last summer. He's crap. £35 million. I mean, I think I complained a bit on Twitter that Matic was expensive as a 29-year-old. Coming up to 30 at 30 for about the same price, right? 35 plus
more
add-ons.
even, I think.
Yeah. But Bakayoko, his replacement, who may be 5 years younger, is not nearly good enough. And Fabregas, who blows hot and cold, mostly cold, and can't normally last 90 minutes and doesn't dominate any games anymore. And then Kante, but it was enough for them given the limited roles that each of them were playing.
Kante's just so good at breaking up play in a way that, we don't have anyone that is. But yeah, I mean, I think Pogba, who would have been a shoo-in for this award, I'm pretty sure I predicted he'd be our player of the season. I thought this would be his time. I thought Matic's presence would really enable Pogba to shine, and it did briefly for about 10 games at the beginning of the season. Pogba's injury derailed his performances this season, and something happened between him and the manager, you would have to assume, because since then it's just not been the same. There's been a couple of brief flurries. I mean, the second half against City, obviously the 2 goals, he was magnificent. That was what we all wanted. But he's, we were joking last week about the extent to which I'll be defensive about Romelu Lukaku. Martial, Lukaku, Pogba, these are the 3 players who I will ride or die for in the United squad. But you can't say that Pogba's performances all season long have been good enough. And there's 2 things about the manager's role in that I'd want to say. And one of them, which I don't think is on the manager, is about the system, because I think it is reasonable to expect more of Pogba, even in a system that doesn't suit him quite down to the ground. But in terms of the pedigree horse management, in terms of the elite athlete of the 21st century mentality, getting that right to get the most out of a player, that I think Mourinho has failed miserably on.
Yeah, for sure. And I wouldn't want to absolve Pogba of all blame for a season that is below the standards that we expect of him, or would like to see from him. But I definitely think an awful lot of it is structural. And I think when it comes to creative players, Mourinho just doesn't know how to deal with them on an individual level at all.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. No. So there's too many examples now for it to be coincidence. He doesn't get enough out of those players. He expects them to dominate on their own.
Yep. And then,
which is why, by the way, and this won't be liked by many United fans, I think Mourinho is way more of a checkbook manager than Pep Guardiola, even if Guardiola is spending more money.
I mean, I don't see how there's any debate in that, because Guardiola has spent money at the massive rich clubs he's managed to bring in brilliant players, literally his job. But also, it's not like he's ignored. It's not like Fabian Delph hasn't become like one of the best left backs in the country. Does anyone reasonably think that happens without Pep Guardiola? Like, there's no way. Like, every player in the City squad improved this season, even the ones who were really good already.
Yeah, maybe not John Stones. But apart from that, many did.
First half of the season, John Stones was really good.
Anyway, that was midfielder of the award. Goes to Nemanja Matic.
Yeah, well done, Nemanja. Romelu Lukaku, forward of the year, right? None of the... he's scored a ton of goals across all competitions of massive impact.
Sure, yeah. No, I mean, it's the only answer. I mean, I guess if Jesse had continued his purple patch of 3 or 4 months through the whole season, he might have pushed him for that, but he didn't.
No.
Jesse Lingard, like Rashford and Martial, has been deeply affected by Alexis Sanchez joining. Deeply. And Sanchez yesterday, a few bright pieces, not much though. And the summary of his transfer, unbalanced the squad, has ruined the confidence of some players, has removed some players who were playing well from the team, or 2, basically. It's impacted directly. Rashford, perhaps not so much. Wasn't playing well enough to get in the team to start with. And hasn't produced enough for it, let alone his £391,000 plus £75,000 bonus per game.
The thing about the Sanchez signing, so I remember talking on the podcast about how I was extremely ambivalent about the signing, then getting all caught up in the hype and excitement of it when it happened. And then the hype and excitement has died off completely. And one of my friends said, just send him back to Arsenal. And I said to you yesterday, do you think Arsenal have got a buyback clause on Sanchez we could sort out? Because honestly, the signing of Alexis Sanchez is the most depressing moment of the season for me in hindsight. So the worst moments of the season: Anfield 0-0, and the subsequent loss to Huddersfield, which sort of lumped in together in my head. Sevilla, obviously. Bristol City, obviously. Yesterday, obviously. The Spurs game away in the league. But for me, like, number one with a bullet. Oh, and Mourinho's off the pitch. The way he's talked about the players, that's been super depressing. But the worst moment of the season by far is the Alexis Sanchez signing because of everything that it says about the club. So Sanchez is an excellent footballer. Might be that he's peaked, by the way. That's entirely possible. I mean, the man has not basically stopped playing football since about 2007. Like, he's played every summer. He's played all that stuff. We know all that. And he's 29. But the idea that it was possible that we'd be bringing him in to play on the left, because already a bit nervous about the signing, given the type of player he is, and he is quite a not greedy, but self-centered sort of player. We've seen this at Arsenal all the way through. It's kind of all about him, and we had an attack that was already really heavy on brilliant individuals and short on cohesion. So bringing in a player who kind of exemplifies that was obviously going to be challenging, but the idea that he was going to do that on the right, so okay, fair enough, that could be great. But to bring him in and play him on the left is genuinely... I mean, I think it's the biggest knock against Mourinho in his whole time at United, because I think it is such a waste of talent and such a depressing reflection on what Manchester United is in 2018.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. And not getting great value for money. By the way, we should talk about financial results at some point, but let's get on to our manager player rankcast awards of the season. I was a bit confused by this one.
This is the podcasters managers player of the year. There is a fans player of the year. There's a players player of the year. There's a managers player of the year. Why is there no podcasters managers player of the year? I mean, the funniest moment of the season, he gave an award to Scott McTominay. Why didn't the managers player of the year play in the FA Cup final, Jose? Like, why did the player that you think's been the best all season not play in the FA Cup final, Jose? Is it because you didn't really think he was the best player of the year, is it? Is it because that was just a dig? Yet another example in your long line of failures of personal management? Was it yet another moment in the self-aggrandizing, myth-building magician that is Jose Mourinho? Manager's player of the year.
Yeah, well, my podcasters managers player of the year is Luke Shaw for sticking it up to Jose all season. Not quite.
Mine is Anthony Martial. my podcasters manager.
I really wish Martial had scored the winner yesterday for many reasons.
By the way, Anthony Martial, under the circumstances, has had an unbelievably good season.
Oh, his numbers are good, you know. His numbers are good. He's got better numbers than Eden Hazard, who's had another trashy season. He's had, I reckon, 1.5 good seasons since he's been in England. But he will be sold for like 120 to 150 million this summer.
Yeah, so anyway, Jose's handling of Anthony Martial is an utter disgrace. But so is his giving him, as well as the fact that it's hilarious that he gave an award to Scott McTominay. Someone was saying to me, imagine how McTominay's being treated in the dressing room now. Like, you know, teacher's pet and all this kind of stuff. Like,
I wonder if he's got a nickname of that kind.
Yeah.
Talking of players kicked out of United, as we will shortly be talking of Anthony Martial, some props go to Memphis, who finished the season with Lyon with 22 goals and 18 assists. That's Nani levels of numbers, that is.
That's amazing, because he wasn't having a very good season halfway through the season.
He had an absolutely stunning end to it.
Right, well done to Memphis. I'm so happy for him. I mean, he can clearly do it in really bad leagues.
Yeah, well, does it for a second season next year, and he'll get himself transferred to another big club.
Yep, and maybe he'll be ready for it this time, and I hope he is. And I wish him well. Another Will Sahar also another excellent season from him. These kind of promising players that United brought in.
Yeah, speculation in the papers last week that Will Sahar may be on his way to Manchester City for 50 million of your English pounds.
When Mourinho got the job, I thought, you know who's really going to like Memphis? It's kind of tough and bustly and direct. But of course, I forgot. He's not a man, M-A-N, man.
So what about our Podcasters Manager of the Year award? Mine's going to Rui Faria. He's seen the light.
Yeah. Well done, Rui. We wish you well. No, the Rantcast Manchester United Manager of the Year award goes to Alex Ferguson again for the whatever number of times. It's going to just
because whatever he does, his myth gets bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know Fergie never lost a game and never won a game by less than 3-0?
Honestly, it's such a disgrace how much we'll lionise Alex Ferguson now. Listen to the first 7 years of our podcasts, or 5 years at least. It's just, he's not buying any midfielders. He's rubbish. Anyway, Rui Faria off the pastures new, bearing the Rantcast award for best United staff member this season. Just holds it up in Jose's face, going, this is what they think of you. Just like Scott McTominay does to Paul Pogba with his Manager's Player of the Year award.
Goal of the season?
Nemanja Matic against Crystal Palace won the official Goal of the Season award. Pretty much every goal Jesse Lingard scored.
A few worldies in there.
Yeah, the Sanchez to Pogba in the
beautiful
City game, and that header, like from right behind his own head. Every goal Anthony Martial scored, because every time it happened, an angel got its wings. Lukaku score any worldies? Not so many worldies. Lots of
he's not that kind
goals.
of player. To be honest, he's more of a fox in the box. Which
Valencia.
is interesting. Coming back to the cup final, that Mourinho sort of lionised him as the big man up front. He is a big man. He does play up front, but he doesn't play like that.
That goal, that Valencia goal, there was a classic Valencia absolute wallop
across the face of the keeper. Yeah,
I can't remember who that was against, but this season more than any other is just all blended into one. I feel like, didn't Zlatan Ibrahimovic play for us at the beginning of the season? But I mean, he did technically, but what I mean is last season and this season just seems like one big long continuum in a way. We should talk about the season as a whole. So you shared with me a Twitter thread breaking down the data about United's season and the nature of their improvement. And of course, the results have improved significantly in terms of number of points. But the underlying data is absolutely appalling, isn't it? Every area of the pitch, average possession, number of shots, quality of shots, number of chances given away, number of tackles. So we have less possession on average and are also making fewer tackles on average. Like that... Considering that tackles are supposed to be, you're supposed to put the amount of possession into the mix when you're considering number of tackles. That's a disgraceful statistic.
Sure, yeah, that's personnel, yeah. More shots conceded, far too many shots conceded. We've talked about on the pod quite a lot. Means that David De Gea's performance needed to be big, and it was big.
Yeah.
And he'll take an extremely big fee to take him to Real Madrid this summer. Don't think it's going to happen. Everyone seems to be confident about it, although that makes me worried that the fax machine may be working again. I'm glad Mourinho played him yesterday, because there was some talk that Romero might play, being the FA Cup goalkeeper.
Played in the semi De Gea, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, and all this means that the Player of the Year, I mean, I would love to have given it to Lukaku, and it wouldn't be totally undeserved, but the reason it would be undeserved is that David De Gea is Manchester United's Player of the Year this season.
Sure, I mean, based on performances, he's United's only world-class player.
Yeah, there you go. So, well done.
It has been for the last 5 years, unfortunately.
Well done, David. You had 1 year off from winning the trophy, and now you're winning it again, because we are a joke.
Mourinho, yeah, I mean, because Mourinho said that if your goalkeeper is winning Player of the Year, there's something wrong.
I mean, we've all been saying that for the last 5 years, because he's been winning Player of the Year every year because there's something wrong. I mean, it's a perfect intersection of there being something wrong and him being Manchester United's best ever goalkeeper.
Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, clearly what happens next season is critical to United and to Mourinho, and you wonder whether he could get get to a fourth season as United manager if the performances don't improve, although Ed Woodward very clearly said this week that performances on the pitch make no difference to financial performance off it. So clearly, the bean counters are happy. But given all that underlying data, are we going to have another season like this with, worldy performances from David De Gea each week and looking to the details to win games? Yeah, probably, but probably with some better players, and will that make a big enough difference to get trophies for United or get closer to the eventual winners? I think I'm right in saying that I said in our season preview show that a successful season for me in the league, at least, would have been within 5 points of the title winners. Right, so we were 24 points away from the title last season, 19 this season. So we made a 5-point improvement. That's not quite what I meant, Jose.
But I mean, you've got to knock some points off City before you're,
Absolutely. So if City got the total number of points that Chelsea got last season, 92, United would have been 11 points behind the winners.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, that says not quite good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though, of course, you could also say that even 93 is a very big points total.
Very, very, very big. 92 is a good points total. It would have won the league in most seasons.
Yeah. So, and we would have won the league in 1999, incidentally, with the points total we got this season.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it's very hard comparing across seasons because, quality. In 99, we were facing Arsenal. We talked about it yesterday. The double-winning Arsenal side of 98, who were genuinely one of the best sides of, that 20, 25-year sort of period, cohort, generation.
Yeah.
A great side. And Fergie talked about it pushing United on, more.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, the league's changed so much since then anyway. Like, I think it's either Dan Harris or Rob Smythe who wrote the line about Jose Mourinho turned up and explained to the rest of the division that points won before Christmas also counted, because the title race didn't used to start until Christmas. But anyway, the grade then, I mean, I don't want to give a letter grade to every player in the squad. Will be here forever, and also there'll be an awful lot of C's given out. But let's give the manager a final
bunch of
grade.
C's on a pitch yesterday, I tell you.
I'll knock them up. I'll tee them up. You knock them down. The manager then and the season as a whole, C.
Yeah, I think so. C was that 6.5 out of 10, something like that. Yeah, C. It's about C. It would have been better with a trophy, of course. Yeah. And this is where we'll disagree with Mourinho. I think if you're all about the final result and the method doesn't matter, then yeah, you're going to get knocked down. So
I mean,
C.
What he said about the game yesterday is I can't be disappointed given we gave it our all, and I'm only disappointed when we don't play the way I want us to play. Okay, great, good. That's good that's the way you want us to play, then, pal. We'll enjoy next season a lot. I mean, so my rationale for giving a C when the truth is the league finish is better than that under the circumstances, in a very strong division with lots of good teams in it. I mean, lots of bad teams too, but a cohort of very good teams at the top. My rationale is in the data. It is in the fact that actually a lot of our wins have exceeded the level of our performances, and it's too consistent for it to be. It's too big a factor in the season for it to be ignored in the face of results.
Right, but and it's a season score, right? So that's Premier League, but dumped out of the Champions League in really embarrassing fashion.
Yeah.
By a not particularly good side.
By a bad side.
By a bad side who then went on to sack their manager after they went 10 games without a win.
Yeah.
Dumped out of the League Cup by a lower league side and got to the Cup final, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Especially great day out from everyone, for everyone, but played in a really, really disappointing way.
Especially like that semi-final win against Spurs was absolutely brilliant. So the high points of the season, talked about the low points of the season earlier, high points of the season, 4-0 FC at the beginning of the season was absolutely joyous. Like, it was so fun and so full of kind of hope and sunshine and goals and excitement, letting the horses run free and all that. Lukaku's return to form after his dip in form was heartening, and I thought he responded really well. Obviously, the City game, but also I think the Liverpool game at Old Trafford, not quite as fun as the City game, but absolutely nullified them altogether in the second half after taking the lead. The hilarity of once again smashing Arsenal, even though they were created way more chances than us.
Yeah, that's always good fun. Yeah, there have been some high points. It's just hard to, when you aggregate it all together, to give it a high score for the season. So anyway, so shall we take some Twitter questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Friend of the show, Chris Etchingham77. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Won't be your friend next week. You know why. Says, when Phil Jones leaves, should United retire the number 4 jersey?
I refuse to dignify that with an answer.
Just retire Phil Jones. Do you have any confidence in United summer recruitment and sales? Says Fergus Lockhart 1, friend of the show. Will the Mourinho decline into insanity rather than gaining momentum from this point? I'm not sure we need to editorialise it quite like that. Do we have any confidence in United's summer recruitment and sales? This is a complex one because you'd kind of say, well, maybe a bit, because it's for the last 2 windows have felt, 2 big windows have felt better, haven't they? More organised, less chaos, less embarrassing, no imposters, no chasing around Europe, faxing every under the sun, trying to get a player. But they haven't really worked out, many of them. As evidenced by Mourinho's selection for the cup final yesterday, which is a challenge. We've also got another challenge in that are we still friends with Mino Raiola, who's our effective director of football? And I'm guessing, are we friends with Jorge Mendes, who's now owns Wolves? Well, he doesn't, but he's got very close ties. So there's some challenges here for Ed Woodward. He might have to find another favourite son of a football agent.
Kia Jarabchin, does he still do stuff?
I'm sure he does. Isn't he as bent as they come?
I don't know.
Allegedly. Hashtag. I'm not really sure. Definitely did some dodgy stuff. There's Fergie's favourite, Pinny Zahavi. He's still in action. So
the question about do we have any confidence? Back when I used to write about football, I wrote an article for New Maxit about how it was just really hard to get excited about big name signings anymore, even though clearly there is a substantial percentage of United fans who are basically just in it for the big transfers at this point, because that generates way more traffic, way more excitement, way more buzz than anything that happens on the pitch, which is very depressing, but interesting nonetheless. Over the so apart from the Moyes summer, United have spent big every single summer and invested in really star players. Even in Moyes' January, Juan Mata came, and that was a really marquee signing at the time.
Yeah.
So, there's been marquee signing after marquee signing after marquee signing, and the team are better than they were, but nowhere near what we want them to be. So hard to get super excited, hard to feel super confident. If you mean, do I think we'll be able to organise substantial transfer activity, then the answer is yes. If you are asking, do I think it's likely that we will have a high level of average success from those purchases, then absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm not sure we're structured to get the best out of our market activity. It's going to come down to Mourinho, Woodward, and whatever shinies the agent networks dangle in front of us, isn't it? Doesn't seem like a long-term plan.
But to go back to the point you were making about Guardiola earlier, a lot of it is about the sense that we are not likely to see major improvement in anyone that rocks up. In fact, while we're on this subject, we did promise some transfer talk. So the guy with the double-barrel surname is a name that I hear linked all the time.
Yeah, United heavily linked with Milinkovic-Savic. I haven't seen tons of him, but very graceful, ungainlily tall. Is that a word? He's a big guy for a creative central midfielder. Very nice on the ball, just kind of silky movement about him. and he would add to United's attacking options. I'm not going to base that on having watched him a lot. Although Lazio are the hipsters' choice in Italy these days, aren't they?
I thought that was Napoli.
No, Lazio are now the hipsters' choice.
But didn't Pep Guardiola say that Napoli are like the greatest team in football history or something? I mean, they're his favourite team in the world. Okay, but if it's Lazio, I'll believe you, Ed. You've got your finger on the hipster pulse.
I'm not sure I do anymore.
Willian is another name that is perennially linked with United since Mourinho turned up. I mean, that he can play on the right side of attack and he is functional, so I don't think I'd be really bummed out if he signed, although, of course, it would be an absolute travesty if there was any sort of swap deal with Anthony Martial to a Premier League club. But I honestly can't see United being stupid enough to sell Martial to a Premier League rival. No. He's more likely to go abroad for like £3 or something like that. United linked in the papers today to Anderson Talisca, a right-sided Brazilian forward/attacking midfielder. Seen much playing with Besiktas this year. Seen much of Besiktas in action? No, but I feel like he's a player whose name I recognise from doing Football Manager searches for players with creativity of above 15. So that's promising.
Yeah, I would say this is the work of agents at this moment. So, who do we think United will actually buy? 2 fullbacks, a central defender, a central midfielder, an attacker, and a right-sided attacker.
No way.
But that might be what we need. I'll work from the start of that list and see how far they get.
One fullback, one central midfielder, and even though Mourinho said they wouldn't buy any attackers, I'm assuming Martial's going to go. So I'm going to say they're going to get in. Let's be optimistic and say 4 players. So a fullback, 2 midfielders, and a forward player. I don't think they'll bring in a centre-back this summer.
No. Wayne Barton, who you'll remember who was on the show a couple of weeks ago talking about his new book, is advocating for United to go out and buy Jack Wilshere. I had to challenge him on this one. Friend of the show that he is, permanent friend of the show status that he gets for being on to be interviewed.
I was going to say Patreon backers will have heard me advocate for Jack Wilshere getting an England squad, but of course actually everyone did because you put the wrong file in the wrong place last week.
Yes, I couldn't get to 23 men. I only had 22. So in the dying embers of last week's show, I said, "Oh, all right, Wilshere then." But of course, he's been for very many years. He just can't stay fit. That's his problem. If he was fit all the time and had progressed from the player he was at 18, then yeah, sure.
No, I mean, it would be a ridiculous signing given his history. I've just Googled MUFC transfer rumours and it's very depressing fare, not in terms of the players we linked with necessarily, but the quality of journalism. The Manchester Evening News quoting a Don Ballon report. Don Ballon, who Bleacher Report consider Bleacher Report who will accept rumours if they're cited from the Sun or the Star, won't accept Don Ballon as a citation because they are specifically irreputable. But Manchester Evening News will report on Don Ballon's story, so that tells you something about that esteemed organisation.
What are the Don Ballon greatest hits at the moment?
Neymar to United.
Oh, of course, of course.
More accurately, Neymar has said he won't wait for Real Madrid and has hinted he'd like a move to Man United. So I think we all know what that means. We've seen this movie before. That particular rumour roundup also cited a rumour from elsewhere, I think the Mirror, that John Terry would come to United, at which point I would be, I don't know, we'd have to make a podcast about a different football team.
Yes, FC United rant cast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Glazer ownership probably should have pushed us over the edge, but this definitely actually would.
I got a note from FC United this week and reminding me I still have community shares and I would not be allowed to sell them, it said. I wasn't planning on it, and I'd forgotten I bought them, to be honest. But still doing reasonably well as a club. Hit their financial ceiling, I'd say, and they have still some loans to repay on their new stadium, and then they can move onwards and upwards as an example of a club that will never become European champions, but run mostly by the fans, for the fans, save for a few internal arguments over the years.
That seems to have, the worst of the storm seems to have passed there for now. Talking of the Glazers and FC United, you mentioned that we should do some financials. Before we take the next question, we'll do a couple more Twitter questions, but hit us up with what the financials are saying, Ed.
Yeah, so summary is United have piles and piles of cash. And are guiding to have even more piles of cash. So the guidance is for revenue to complete the financial year, so this is Q3 of the financial year, at somewhere between 575 and 585. That would probably leave United as the largest revenue-generating club on the planet. Adjusted EBITDA, that's for exceptionals, adjusted for exceptionals. So EBITDA is not cash, but it's a good proxy for cash. So you have to pay tax and other amortization on stuff before it's actual cash. But 175 to 185, which means United can go and spend healthily a lot of money in the transfer market. Debt's at around 300 million. That's significantly down over the year, although a lot of that is a forex in the way that our debt went the wrong way. When the pound appreciated in value, it's appreciated over the last few months against the dollar. So our debt's gone down, woohoo! But it's a business model choice at this point to have debt on the books anyway. Commercial revenue up a little bit, broadcast revenue up a lot. Back in the Champions League, and the new contract for Premier Leagues. Hooray for convergence of the media and telco market in the UK. We'll see how long that can last.
I love it when you throw in like a little spicy barb like that some of our listeners, let's say
all of 0.3% of the listeners will get.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here as a proxy for the 99.97% of the listeners.
Yeah, so headlines: making lots of money, lots of free cash, can spend lots of money in the transfer market, and of course it's never all spent at once anyway. It's always over the lifetime of the contracts. Doing well. Player expenses up, but 12% manageable given the rise in other income. So, very, very healthy financial returns for United. Not so healthy was the look that Woodward had on the finance call this week, which I joined. I'm not a registered analyst. I don't get a question, but he made a few points. Right? The one that hit some headlines at least was when he said that performance on the pitch really has no material impact on financial performance off it. He's made this sort of point before when sort of gleefully talking about Liverpool's shirt sales despite not having won Premier League for 20 odd years. It's not a good look. It does not scan well. But he is talking to a financial audience who are mostly concerned about United's financial performance and not that on the pitch, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about how the two are linked. The other thing he talked about a lot, actually, and he's talked about this before, is United's place in the media market. So he's talking about original content. So, United do original content through MUTV. He also talked about MUTV being on more platforms. So it's not that long since MUTV was available as a direct subscription from MUTV online. It was previously only as part of a bundle, aggregated bundle. That was actually part of the business model. You get a transmission fee when you're on someone else's platform, like Sky or Virgin in this country. Expanded rapidly around the world in recent years, and now want to go direct to consumer. They'll be on Netflix and Amazon and other platforms, I imagine.
That's very interesting. It's all very interesting.
Well, it'd be very interesting. It'd be very interesting if somehow, I mean, it's not going to happen through the collective agreement, but somehow the collective, the cartel that the Premier League teams have, somehow that was broken up, and it probably could only be regulatory. would put United in a very good position to both sell their own games and distribute, because which of course would be nirvana for the Glazers. They'd absolutely love that.
Yeah. Man United have a YouTube channel now as well, which they didn't have before, which presumably will kind of be part of all of this stuff, given YouTube's position as a broadcaster effectively nowadays.
Yeah. What United also did, and here's a little quiz for you, Paul. Let's see if you can get any of these.
Okay.
Announced 4 new sponsorship deals in the quarter. I'm going to read out some names. You can tell me whether they were a new partner or not.
You see, this is if I was
Googling.
If I was still on Twitter, I would nail 4 out of 4 of these without question. But given that I haven't been for nearly 5 months now, I think I'm not a favourite to get these right.
Okay, we'll start with an easy one. Ping An, a financial services company.
Why is that an easy one? I'm going to say yes, they are a sponsor.
They are a sponsor.
Hooray.
All right, very good, very good. Pocky, who make, amongst other things, chocolate-covered biscuit snacks.
Oh, I've heard of them. They're a thing that I've heard of. They're Japanese. Do we sell sponsorships to Japanese companies? I'm going to say yes, they're a sponsor.
No, they're not.
See, I should have gone with my instinct, because I thought, well, if I've heard of this, probably Ed's heard of it, and that's why he's added this as a potential sponsor.
Hello Panda, a milk-based biscuit snack.
In what country?
Many countries.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go on, yeah.
No, made that one up too.
Oh, unbelievable. Many countries
sport.
should have been a tip-off. Science in sport.
United do deals. By the way, many countries is relevant because United do deals on a country basis, so single licensing agreement, regional, so multiple countries, typically across the territory, and then quite a few telco deals like that, and then global partners.
Science in sport is a definite yes, and it's working because I know it, because I saw an advert for it in 442 with a picture of United players drinking Science in sport drinks.
Very good. Cho Our Farm.
What do they do?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay. Then yes, they are.
They are indeed. Asia Avto, a Kazakhstani auto manufacturer.
That sounds right up our street.
I made that one up too.
Oh, you're so good at this.
Anyway, you'll get the point of this game.
Yeah.
United continue to haul themselves out to anyone who'll pay.
Yes, absolutely. So, a couple more Twitter questions.
Quite a few questions along the line of this one. At Naz Red Devil says, can life get any worse? Benny Hudson says, what's even the point anymore? Yes, Naz, Benny, life can get worse. You could be in a war zone being shot at. On the other hand, it could get even worse than that, and Liverpool could win the European Cup next week.
The what even is the point anymore question is such a valid one. It's such a valid question at this point. If we didn't have this podcast, there is absolutely no way I'd have watched every United game this season, bar whatever one I missed. I think I missed one. But there's no way I would have watched every game this season. I would have watched the big games, and I'd have watched a smaller game if I happened to be free at that time. But there's no way I'd be structuring my weekends around watching United this season. I had an email from my old boss who sits in the Stretford end, and he's an older chap, and he said that the mood around him in the Stretford end is just appalling. The atmosphere is as flat as it's ever been. People are leaving 10 minutes before the end, and every man, woman and child within a 200-seat radius of him all want José Mourinho sacked. So that was an interesting report from the front line, I thought. Yeah,
and there were a few more along that line as well. Joe Wheeler says, when will the misery end? At Dave Stay says, can we sack Jose?
Yeah, this is, you see, they're both slightly different questions, aren't they? Because when will the misery end? The answer to that is we have absolutely no idea, and probably it will be when the right managerial appointment is made, and the people making that managerial appointment might as well be when you're moving out of kind of world famous managers. They're just throwing darts at a dartboard and seeing whose face it hits.
Yeah, that's right. A. Hardeman says, how much of a mess is Pochettino going to have to clean up in 12 months?
The Jose question of like, can we sack him? Like, obviously the answer to that is no, because you can't sack the manager that's kind of got you Champions League football 2 seasons in a row when you didn't have it 2 out of the previous 3 seasons, and finished second in the league behind a record-breaking side, you know, all that nonsense. Like, there's no way you can sack the manager, even though, you know, I don't think I would passionately, I'm not like paying for plain banners or anything, but if Mourinho, the announcement came through that Mourinho was moving to PSG, I'd be doing a little jig of joy.
Liam Hill Design says, should I attend a Man United game ever again? Yes.
Yeah, we had a great time yesterday, didn't we, Ed?
And many questions related to, and sorry, we're going to miss out a whole bunch of these because there are lots, related to Pogba. Is he going to get better? Sanchez, has he unbalanced the side? Yes. Should we keep Fellaini? No. How was the traffic on the way to Wembley? No idea. Took the train.
No, but the traffic driving down to London was amazing. It was like one of the nicest drives I've ever had. There was just no one there.
# royal wedding.
Yep. The question about Pogba is a really relevant and important one. Like, beginning of this season, I was super confident that we'd end up seeing the best out of Pogba this season, because it was not like he was bad last season. He was, I think he probably arguably had a better season last season. Although the one thing you would have to say is he has made a shed load of assists in the league this season. Something we've mentioned on the podcast before, but no, there's no doubt we need to be getting more out of Pogba if we want to get to the next level as a team.
Yeah, there's quite a few questions about what the future brings. So give me a positive narrative.
Okay.
About, you know, what happens this summer to make United a winning side, an exciting side, and to get rid of all the negativity next year. Assuming that Jose stays, because he will.
Well, that's the thing, because the first answer for a positive narrative to that is that Mourinho leaves. I mean, Ferguson signing up as assistant manager. By the way, having said that there was no one in the world ready, he seems to have conceded that there's someone in the world ready, but he's someone that's already at a club. Lots of people speculating that might be Aitor Karanka, the current Nottingham Forest manager and former Jose number 2. Anyway,
Arsene's on the market. Any takers?
I think the football would be slightly more enjoyable. They'd probably be quite an ironically good combination, actually, because Mourinho will terrify him and Arsene will cheer him up and actually sort of say, hey, have you thought about maybe passing the ball to a guy near you? Anyway, it's not like we've been playing long ball all season, but, you know, narrative. A positive narrative. I mean, we signed 2 fullbacks and 2 central midfielders. Those are the 4 signings we make. And we keep Martial, and Mourinho commits to playing Sanchez on the right. There you go. There's a positive narrative. So we've got 2 new fullbacks, Sidibe and someone else. Then we've got 2 central midfielders, the aforementioned chap with the double barrel name, and Luka Modric.
Good one.
Yeah. And somehow, I mean, it's really pathetic that the only positive narratives now are just about who we sign. Oh, okay, here's a positive narrative. Angel Gomez, Axel Tuanzebe, and Timothy Fosu-Mensah all become integral members of the first team squad next season. But then you did say with Jose in charge, so that's basically definitely not going to happen.
He didn't play those guys in a meaningless, absolutely nothing game.
Well, 2 of them were still on loan.
Weekend.
2 of them were still on loan, to be fair.
Yeah,
but
still
yes,
no excuse.
Point taken. All right, let's have one more question then.
All right. And related to that, last question of the week, at HaleyBob9, Keith Gibraltar says, are there any positives we can take from the cup final loss for the younger players like Pogba, Lingard, Rashford, or will this crush their confidence even further? Wow.
I mean, they've... Jesse Lingard put a little comment on Marcus Rashford's Instagram post about this, saying, we'll be back...
Marcus Rashford.
What did I say? Jesse Lingard posted a comment on Marcus Rashford's Instagram post where Marcus Rashford was sad about losing, and he was like, "We come back stronger, bro." And then Marcus Rashford replied with the 100 emoji. So there's some hope in emoji form for you right there.
Yeah, when Marcus Rashford was falling over the ball yesterday, not sure his confidence was particularly buoyed by that cup final performance.
No, when you compare that to the incredible confidence he displayed in the FA Cup final in 2015, that's a bit of a knock against Mourinho and how he's handled him in the last 2 years.
Yes. All right, shall we move on and preview next week's game? There is no next week's game.
So let's commit to our transfer predictions. First of all, name the players who you actually think Manchester United will sell this summer.
Who I actually think will go? Well,
Yeah.
Carrick has gone. Fellaini is going clear, not even in the squad yesterday, although I guess that was injury. We'll see. Sure. What's the point at this point? It'd be some kind of child cruelty, I think, to keep him at the club. And Martial.
Yeah, I think that is... So none of the centre-backs are leaving.
No, I very much doubt it. Unless we
Yeah.
brought another one in, he's not going to let one go. So, and that's not a priority. I mean, it might be a priority given Tweedledum and Tweedledee yesterday. And I guess it depends on how confident Mourinho feels about Bailly and Lindelof. But he's gonna recruit elsewhere first, I think.
Yeah, I think that is a really good list. And then I guess I would add one player we're slightly not expecting to go might also go. And what I'm really saying is I'm slightly terrified that either Pogba or De Gea will leave. But De
Gea leaving is a disaster.
Yeah, Pogba leaving is a disaster.
Should be a disaster. Yeah, I mean, it's not quite on the same scale, but you're going to have to then replace him with a world-class midfielder.
Yeah.
I mean, will there be a random that we're not expecting? I mean, at this point, there's no point dumping some of the older players. Probably. I mean, if United buy 2 fullbacks,
Darmian.
Darmian will probably.
Yeah, we
go,
forgot. Literally forgot. Oh, Daley Blint as well. So,
he'll go too. Yeah,
Blint, Darmian, Fellaini, Carrick, Martial, and Shaw, and that's my list. 6 players out.
Yeah. And I guess Martial's the wild card in there. 5 of them are definitely gone. Martial's a wild card, and could there be an even randomer one than that?
I hope not, unless it's Chris Smalling. Then players in. So,
I don't know who, because I'm not sure I've called any of these very well over the last few summers. Left back is the first choice. Even though Ashley Young's had a good season, clearly he's getting on. And it looks like they're a very long way down the road for Alexandro, the nearly 28-year-old Juventus left back. We're talking about centre backs. I mean, Toby Alderweireld is definitely available. I mean, he would be a good purchase, but is it the priority? So Davies been linked. I'd actually go for Fabinho from Monaco, who can play in 2 positions.
Yeah,
more flexibility, will be available.
Has Fabinho played fullback once in the last 2 seasons?
I'm not sure about that.
No, I'd like to look that up. But no, I mean, I'd go for Fabinho because he's a really good midfielder. Like that's why we want Fabinho in it. But all right, so that it's easy to nail down the predictions out. And like I said earlier, I think 4 players in, fullback, 2 central midfielders, 1 attacking player. And that's my prediction, and hope it's 5, 2 fullbacks. And then I think I would like to predict where United are going to finish next season. Obviously, this is just a bit of fun, because it hugely depends on the summer. But as things currently stand, and as we expect what's going to happen in other teams and what's going to happen for us, where do you think United are going to finish next season?
2nd or 3rd?
Pick one or the other.
2nd.
Okay.
Not going to make 20 points up.
No.
Not that City
Not
are guaranteed to get a 100-point season. Yeah. That should be a once-in-a-century type achievement. I'm just going to give up on football if they do another 100-point season. It's just no point.
Liverpool win back-to-back Champions Leagues. I think that United are going to...
I get some rope?
I do not think that United are going to finish second again next season. I think they'll finish third or even fourth, because I think the underlying numbers will come back to haunt them unless they make significant improvement. Because I think Liverpool, I know you keep like poo-pooing Liverpool's achievements at every opportunity you get, as is your contracted requirement, but I think Liverpool will improve next season. They're getting catering. We've seen how much better they've been since Van Dijk's arrived. Been interesting to see how their season would have been if he'd been there from the start.
Is this Scousecast?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm depressed.
No, I'm just saying. I think we're going to have to improve a lot to finish ahead of Liverpool again. You're
season. Either on the bus or you're not on the bus, mate. This is a United podcast. I'll have less of this Scouse propaganda.
All right, Jose, but I think Spurs are going to be fascinating as well next season. Like whether they can.
Well, there might be some turnover. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Their summer has to be good too, because if they're prepared to let a few players go, which it looks like they are, Alderweireld already mentioned. Danny Rose may well go too, although he's not necessarily a lock-in for a game these days. Izzy Dembele looks like they're going to cash in on this. Probably last summer they can get big money for him. Eric Lamela in and out of the side, looks like they're going to let him go too. I'm sure they'll keep all their main players, so it still has to be a good summer of purchases for them to progress. And
they've not necessarily been able to do that recently, but anyway, we'll do a full season preview at the beginning of next season. Over the summer we're going to do World Cup podcasts for sure. And we're going to throw in some United podcasts. I might try and reach out to some people as well to do some guest stuff, because we haven't done much of that recently. So keep your podcast feeds open for content from us over the summer. We're not planning, I don't think, to have extended breaks, but we are going to take a couple of weeks off now before we start the.
Sitting here talking into a microphone is tiring. The vocal cords need a rest. They need to be perfectly tuned for the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely.
So which broadcaster's sending us to Russia for 4 or 5 weeks?
I mean, we just turned down the RT money, so that was it. There's nothing we could do.
We had RT money. I'm not turning you down. Can we? Vladimir, I know you're listening.
No, we're not RT. We're not RT. We're RC.
Ooh.
So the Rantcast will be rolling to cover all your World Cup needs. And by all your World Cup needs, I mean slightly poorly timed, probably weekly shows covering stuff that is slightly out of date, because we just don't have the production bandwidth to do daily shows like other places do. And
really, the award-winning Tom Jenkins, hashtag Rantcast producer, award-winning and soon to be busy.
I mean,
Thomas Jenkins.
Soon to be. To let you behind the curtains, the Rantcast's producer literally works days and nights for extended periods at a time and still brings the podcast out to you. So at the end of the season, we cannot let this pass without giving massive thanks and props to him. And of course, enormous thanks go out to everyone that's kept the show on the road by backing us at patreon.com/Rantcast. You hear me talk about that every week at the end of the show, and it really is why the show is able to keep going. So thank you very much. Very
much appreciated, both to Tom and to the listeners, and to the backers. And we won't have too many weeks off, but a small break.
Yeah, probably back with another podcast in 3 weeks' time. I imagine we shall have 2 weekends where we don't record a Rantcast, and then hit up the airwaves once again, talking about the team that used to get us excited and now leaves us feeling flat and miserable, but nonetheless we love them anyway.
Are we going to record a new cut of the Calypso?
Yeah. The team that makes us go meh is Manchester United. All right, see you in 3 weeks' time. As you heard on the main show, the Rantcast is brought to you by people who back us at patreon.com/Rantcast. Thank you very much to everyone who chooses to do so. And if you choose to do so for $5 plus VAT and above per month, you get access to bonus content. This week, we tried to pick our favourite World Cup. Incredible team, spearheaded by just an otherworldly genius. I mean, his performance against England, his performance against Belgium, and then he sort of became the provider in chief in the final because Germany was smart enough to kind of stop him having space in the box and stuff, but he nonetheless did the damage with assists in the final. An amazing player at the absolute peak of his powers, 1986. And like really weird personal tangent here, but when I moved to Zimbabwe at the age of 10, there was this shoe shop chain called Bata, spelled B-A-T-A. And when I saw it, I was like, that is really familiar to me. Why do I know this like African shoe brand? Like, this is obviously a long way before the internet. What? How do I know this? And then I realised upon subsequently watching video of the 1986 World Cup that it's because there are big Bata adverts behind the goal that Maradona scores his goal against England in. So it's like lodged in my unconscious. Advertising works, kids.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.